You just spent $87 on something you'll use exactly once, maybe twice if you're optimistic. You knew you didn't need it while you were checking out. You knew you had something at home that does basically the same thing. You knew you should be saving that money instead, but you bought it anyway, and now it's sitting in your closet with the tag still on, a physical monument to a purchase decision you can't explain. This isn't weakness, and it's not stupidity. It's psychology, and in 2026, the forces designed to make you spend money on things you don't need have become so sophisticated that resisting them requires understanding exactly how your brain is being manipulated. My name is Alicia, and I've spent years studying why intelligent, financially aware people still make purchases they know are unnecessary and regret almost immediately. If you've ever bought something you didn't need and couldn't explain why, or if you want to understand the psychological warfare being waged against your bank account every single day, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if this information helps you out. Here's what's really happening. Every unnecessary purchase you make is the result of your brain being hacked by a combination of ancient evolutionary psychology and cutting-edge marketing technology. Your brain evolved to solve problems that don't exist anymore, and companies in 2026 have figured out exactly which buttons to push to bypass your rational decision-making and trigger purchases you don't want. The scary part is that understanding this doesn't make you immune. You can know exactly how you're being manipulated and still fall for it because the psychological mechanisms operate below your conscious awareness. Let me show you the specific psychological triggers that are destroying your finances, starting with the most powerful one, the scarcity illusion. Your brain evolved in an environment where resources were genuinely scarce. If you found food and didn't eat it immediately, you might not find more. If you saw something valuable and didn't take it, someone else would. This created a deep psychological response to scarcity that made perfect sense 10,000 years ago, but is completely irrational in modern society, where most things are abundant and available whenever you want them. Retailers know this, and they've weaponized it against you. Meet Sarah. She's scrolling Instagram at 11 p.m. when she sees an ad for a sweater. It's nice, but she doesn't need a sweater. She has 8 sweaters already, but the ad says, only 3 left in your size, and sale ends in 4 hours. And suddenly, Sarah's brain is flooded with anxiety. What if she misses out? What if this is the perfect sweater and she never finds it again? What if she regrets not buying it tomorrow? None of this makes rational sense. There is no sweater shortage. The company will make more sweaters. She can probably find a similar sweater from another brand. But Sarah's evolutionary psychology doesn't care about rational analysis. It sees scarcity and it screams, buy it now before it's gone. She buys the sweater at 11:15 p.m. for $89. It arrives 3 days later. She tries it on, decides it doesn't look as good as it did online, and it goes in her closet where it stays for 6 months before she donates it with the tag still on. This exact scenario happens millions of times a day in 2026 because scarcity marketing has become so precise and pervasive that you can't scroll through any app without encountering it. Only 2 rooms left at this price. Flash sale ends in 3 hours. Limited quantity available. 10 other people are looking at this right now. All of these messages are designed to trigger your scarcity response and short-circuit your rational evaluation of whether you actually need the thing being sold. Here's what makes this particularly insidious in 2026. Artificial intelligence has made scarcity marketing personalized and dynamic. The website isn't just showing you a countdown timer. It's analyzing your browsing behavior in real time and adjusting the scarcity messaging based on how likely you are to convert. If you're a skeptical shopper who doesn't respond to only 3 left messages, the algorithm learns that and shows you different triggers. If you're someone who panics when you see low inventory, it amplifies those messages. The scarcity you're seeing might not even be real. It's algorithmically generated based on what's most likely to make you buy. The second psychological trigger destroying your finances is what I call the identity purchase trap. You don't buy things just because you need them. You buy things because of what they say about who you are or who you want to be. This is why people spend thousands of dollars on gym equipment they never use, kitchen gadgets for healthy cooking they never do, and books they never read. They're not buying the object, they're buying an identity. Marcus wants to be the kind of person who wakes up early and works out before heading to the office. He imagines himself as fit, disciplined, healthy. So when he sees a premium home gym system, his brain doesn't evaluate it as, do I need weightlifting equipment? His brain evaluates it as, is this who I want to be? And the answer to that second question is always yes. He buys the gym equipment for $2,300. It gets used enthusiastically for 2 weeks, occasionally for another month, and then becomes an expensive clothing rack. The purchase wasn't irrational based on his goals. If he actually used the equipment consistently, it would pay for itself in saved gym memberships and improved health. The irrationality came from his brain conflating buying the equipment with becoming the kind of person who uses the equipment. The purchase felt like progress toward his identity goal, but the purchase itself doesn't create the identity. The daily action does, and that's much harder than clicking buy now. This identity purchasing is absolutely rampant in 2026 because social media has made identity performance more important than ever. You're not just buying a yoga mat, you're buying the ability to post about being someone who does yoga. You're not just buying a cookbook, you're buying the ability to consider yourself someone who cares about cooking. The object is secondary to the identity signal it provides. Here's why this is financially destructive. Identity purchases feel good immediately when you buy them, but they rarely deliver the actual identity transformation you're paying for. Marcus felt like a fitness person the moment he ordered that home gym. That feeling was the product he actually paid for, not the equipment. The equipment sitting unused doesn't change how good the purchase felt in the moment, which is why he'll probably make another identity purchase in a few months for a different aspirational version of himself. The third trigger is social proof and comparison, and this one has become absolutely toxic in 2026. Your brain evolved to survive in small tribes where fitting in with the group was literally life or death. If your tribe rejected you, you died. This created intense psychological pressure to conform to group norms and match what others around you were doing. In a small tribe of 50 people, this made sense. In a world where you're constantly exposed to the curated lives of millions of people through social media, it's a financial disaster. Jessica sees her college friend post about a weekend trip to wine country. Beautiful photos, looks amazing. Jessica's brain doesn't think, that's nice, she's enjoying herself. Jessica's brain thinks, why am I not doing that? Everyone else is having experiences, and I'm sitting at home. I'm falling behind. I'm missing out on life. Within an hour, she's booked a similar trip for next month for $850 that she'll put on a credit card because she doesn't have the cash available. This isn't rational behavior. Jessica wasn't unhappy with her life before she saw those photos. She has her own goals and priorities that don't include frequent wine country trips. But the social proof of others doing something triggered a comparative anxiety that could only be resolved by doing the thing too. She's not buying the trip because she wants it. She's buying it because not buying it makes her feel like she's falling behind some imaginary standard that doesn't actually exist. The comparison economy in 2026 is designed specifically to trigger this anxiety constantly. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of them algorithmically promote content that generates engagement, and comparison generates enormous engagement. You see someone's new car, new house, new outfit, vacation, dinner, purchase constantly. Your brain is flooded with comparison data that it's not equipped to process rationally. You start to think everyone is doing better than you, buying more than you, living better than you because you're only seeing the highlights of hundreds or thousands of people's lives simultaneously. This creates what I call comparison spending, where you buy things not because you want them, but because others having them makes you feel inadequate. The purchase doesn't actually resolve the inadequacy because there's always someone buying something else you don't have. But your brain keeps thinking that the next purchase will be the one that makes you feel caught up with everyone else. It never is. Here's the fourth psychological trigger that's destroying finances in 2026, the micro-purchase trap. Your brain evaluates large purchases carefully. If you're thinking about buying a car for $30,000, you'll do research, compare options, really think about whether you can afford it. But your brain basically doesn't process small purchases at all. $20? $30? These amounts don't trigger your financial scrutiny systems. They feel inconsequential, so you buy them without thinking. The problem is that 20 inconsequential purchases a month is $400. 40 is $800. These micro-purchases add up to massive spending that you never consciously decided to do. You look at your credit card statement and wonder how you spent $2,000 this month when you didn't buy anything big. It's because you made 75 purchases of $20 to $40 each, and each one felt too small to matter. 2026 has optimized the micro-purchase economy to perfection. Free shipping on orders over $25, so you add something to your cart to hit the threshold. Buy now, pay later services that break a $100 purchase into 4 $25 payments that feel like nothing. Subscription services that are only $12 a month, which is basically nothing, except you have 8 of them, so it's actually $96 monthly. Every retailer has figured out how to make purchases feel smaller than they are, so they bypass your financial scrutiny. David downloads a game on his phone. It's free. He plays it for a week, and he's enjoying it. Then he gets stuck on a level, and the game offers him a power-up for $2.99. That's nothing, less than a coffee. He buys it. A few days later, he needs more currency to continue progressing. $4.99. Still nothing. Then, a special character is available for limited time. $9.99. Slightly more, but it's a game he's playing daily, so it's worth it. Over 3 months, David spends $237 on a free game, and he doesn't realize it until he reviews his credit card statement because each individual purchase felt insignificant. This micro-purchase trap is everywhere. Food delivery apps where each order is only $25 or $30, so it doesn't feel like much, even though you're ordering 4 times a week for $500 a month. Amazon where each item is only $15 to $40, so you keep adding things to your cart without considering that you're placing orders 3 times a week. Coffee shops where it's only $6, so you go daily and spend $180 a month without thinking about it as a significant expense. The 5th trigger is convenience exploitation. And this is relatively new to 2026. Your brain is lazy, not in a bad way, in an evolutionary efficient way. Your brain is constantly trying to conserve energy and cognitive resources by taking shortcuts and avoiding difficult tasks. Retailers have figured out how to weaponize this laziness by making purchasing easier than not purchasing. You need dish soap. You could add it to a list, wait until you're going to the store, buy it there. That requires planning, remembering, physically going somewhere. Or you could open an app right now, click twice, and it arrives tomorrow. The app is easier than the alternative, so you use the app. But the app is designed to make you spend more than you would have at the store. It recommends other items you might need. It offers you a deal if you spend over $35, so you add more items. It has a subscribe and save option that seems smart, but means you're now getting dish soap automatically every month, whether you need it or not. The convenience is real and valuable. But you're paying for that convenience with increased spending that you wouldn't have done if purchasing required more effort. This is why one-click ordering is so dangerous. The friction between wanting something and buying something is what gives you time to evaluate whether you actually need it. When that friction disappears, your impulse purchases skyrocket. Sarah has Amazon Prime. She watches a show where someone uses a specific coffee maker. It looks nice. Within 30 seconds, she's found it on Amazon, read 2 reviews, and clicked buy. It arrives in 2 days. She uses it once, realizes her old coffee maker was fine, and the new one sits on her counter for 3 months before she donates it. The entire purchase took less than 2 minutes and required essentially no thought. If she had to drive to a store, find parking, locate the coffee maker, wait in line to check out, drive home, and set it up, she probably wouldn't have bought it. But the convenience made the purchase easier than the evaluation. Here's the 6th psychological trigger that's particularly vicious in 2026, the sunk cost fallacy applied to subscriptions and memberships. Once you've paid for something, your brain irrationally wants to get value from it even if the rational choice is to abandon it. You paid for a gym membership, so now you feel obligated to go even on days you don't feel like it because otherwise you're wasting money. This can be positive if it motivates you to do things that are good for you. But it becomes destructive when companies exploit it to keep you paying for things you don't use. You sign up for a streaming service to watch one specific show. It's $13 a month. You finish the show. The rational move is to cancel the subscription. But you don't cancel because you might want to watch something else later, and you've already paid for this month, so you might as well keep it through the billing cycle. Next month arrives, still haven't watched anything, but you think maybe you'll watch something soon. You've kept it this long, might as well keep it a bit longer. 6 months later, you've paid $78 for a service you used once. You know you should cancel it, but canceling means admitting that you wasted the previous months of payments, which feels bad. So you keep it, thinking next month will be the month you actually use it. This is the sunk cost fallacy in action, and subscription services are designed specifically to exploit it. Companies in 2026 have become incredibly sophisticated about making cancellation difficult enough that sunk cost psychology keeps you subscribed. You can sign up in 30 seconds with one click, but canceling requires logging into a website, navigating through multiple pages, answering survey questions about why you're leaving, and sometimes even calling customer service. They're deliberately creating friction for cancellation while eliminating friction for sign-up because they know most people will keep paying rather than deal with the hassle of canceling. The seventh trigger is emotional spending, and 2026 has turbocharged this into something unprecedented. You had a bad day at work. Your boss criticized you unfairly. You feel stressed, undervalued, frustrated. On your commute home, you stop at a store and buy something you don't need for $60. You're not buying the object, you're buying the feeling of control and the dopamine hit that comes with purchasing. Work made you feel powerless, but spending money makes you feel powerful. The purchase is emotional medication. Or you had a great day. You landed a big client, got praised in a meeting, feel like you're crushing it. On your way home, you buy something expensive to celebrate. You deserve it after today's success. The purchase is a reward you're giving yourself. Different emotion, same result. Unnecessary purchase driven by feelings rather than needs. Retailers have gotten incredibly good at targeting you emotionally. The ads you see when you're stressed are different from the ads you see when you're happy. The algorithm knows when you're vulnerable based on your browsing patterns, the time of day, what you've been searching for, how quickly you're clicking through content. It serves you products specifically designed to exploit your current emotional state. Feeling anxious? Here's a product that promises to solve your anxiety. Feeling successful? Here's a luxury item that matches your achievement. This emotional manipulation is so subtle that you don't recognize it's happening. You think you're making independent decisions about purchases. In reality, you're responding predictably to emotional triggers that algorithms have learned to identify and exploit. The purchase feels like your choice, but the conditions that led to that choice were carefully engineered by systems designed to extract money from you when you're most vulnerable to spending. Here's what you need to understand about all of these psychological triggers. They work even when you know about them. I can explain exactly how scarcity marketing manipulates you, and you'll still feel anxiety when you see the only two left message. I can show you how identity purchasing is irrational, and you'll still be tempted to buy things that match your aspirational self-image. I can prove that micro-purchases add up to major spending, and you'll still make those small purchases because each one individually feels insignificant. The reason these triggers are so effective is that they operate at a level below conscious reasoning. Your rational brain knows the scarcity is probably artificial. Your emotional brain doesn't care. Your rational brain knows buying gym equipment won't make you fit. Your identity-oriented brain still gets a reward from the purchase. Your rational brain knows $20 purchases add up. Your automatic brain doesn't process small amounts as meaningful. So if knowledge alone doesn't protect you, what does? You need systems that interrupt the psychological triggers before they can execute the purchase. Here's what that actually looks like. First, you implement mandatory waiting periods for all non-essential purchases. See something you want? Great. Add it to a list. You're not allowed to buy it for 72 hours minimum. If you still want it after 3 days, you can purchase it. What this does is insert friction between the trigger and the purchase. Most impulse purchases are driven by emotion that fades within hours or days. The waiting period gives that emotion time to dissipate, so your rational brain can evaluate the purchase. Sarah sees the sweater ad at 11 p.m., showing only 3 left. Instead of buying it immediately, she screenshots it and adds it to her wish list with a note about the 3-day waiting period. 72 hours later, she looks at the sweater again. The scarcity anxiety is gone. She evaluates it rationally. Do I need another sweater? No. Do I love this sweater enough to pay $90 for it? Not really. Would I rather have $90 in my investment account? Yes. She doesn't buy it. The 3-day wait saved her $90 by giving her brain time to overcome the scarcity manipulation. Second, you need to track every purchase you make for 30 days without judging yourself. Just data collection. Write down what you bought, how much it cost, and most importantly, what emotion you were feeling when you bought it. Were you stressed, bored, happy, sad, anxious? After 30 days, you'll see patterns. You'll notice that you buy certain things when you're in certain emotional states. Once you're aware of your emotional spending triggers, you can interrupt them. David realizes he spends money on his phone game whenever he's procrastinating on work. The game spending isn't about wanting the power-ups, it's about avoiding a task he doesn't want to do. Once he recognizes this pattern, he can address the actual problem, his work avoidance, instead of medicating it with micro-purchases. He still feels the urge to spend when he's procrastinating, but now he recognizes it as an avoidance signal rather than a legitimate desire to buy something. Third, you need to make purchasing harder by removing saved payment information from websites and apps. No saved credit cards. No one-click ordering. No facial recognition payment. Every purchase should require you to physically enter your payment information. This creates just enough friction that impulse purchases become noticeable. When you have to open your wallet, find your card, type in the numbers, you have 10 to 15 seconds to think, do I actually want this? That's often enough to stop purchases that bypass your conscious awareness when payment is instant. Fourth, you need to implement spending limits for different categories that automatically decline purchases above certain thresholds. Your credit card should decline purchases over $100 unless you've pre-approved them. This forces you to consciously decide to make larger purchases rather than having them happen automatically. You can still make the purchase, you just have to call your bank or adjust your limits first, creating another friction point that gives you time to evaluate. Fifth, you need to regularly audit your subscriptions and memberships every 90 days. Set a recurring calendar reminder, pull up your credit card statement, and identify every recurring charge. For each one, ask yourself, have I used this in the last 90 days? If yes, keep it. If no, cancel it immediately. Don't fall for sunk costs thinking about the months you already paid. That money is gone whether you cancel now or later. The only question is whether you'll waste more money in the future. Here's the brutal reality. You're in a psychological arms race with companies that employ behavioral psychologists, data scientists, and AI systems specifically to bypass your rational decision-making and extract money from you. They have billion-dollar budgets and decades of research about human psychology. You have your own awareness and discipline. It's not a fair fight, and you're going to lose sometimes. The goal isn't perfect resistance to all psychological manipulation. The goal is reducing your unnecessary purchases enough that you can actually build wealth instead of wondering where your money went. Every unnecessary purchase you avoid is money that can go toward financial freedom instead of clutter you'll donate next year. Every psychological trigger you recognize and resist is a win against systems designed to keep you broke. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to win enough of them that your savings actually grow. And that starts with understanding that your brain is being hacked constantly, and the only defense is systems that protect you from your own psychology.